I always get excited whenever politicians mention school psychology and the things we do to serve kids with disabilities in schools. And I was listening to an interview with Kamala Harris on the Diary of a CEO YouTube channel, and she, in fact, talked about it. And she talked about an important problem of parents not being able to get their children access to special education services. Now, before we watch the clip, I'm Dr. Kara. I'm a school psychologist and a licensed psychologist in Ohio, and I care very much about education and the policies that impact kids in our schools.
Recently, I'm hearing the stories from mothers in particular whose children have special needs and they can't get an IEP. These are babies, the children who are most in need, their parents who are struggling. If you know a parent who has a special needs child, what that means to their life emotionally, physically, financially, and we're not even giving them assistance with their educational program for their children. Meanwhile, you're building a gilded ballroom.
Gilded ballroom aside, there are two distinct ways that the Trump administration has been harming special education. Now, there is a shortage of school psychologists. We don't have enough of us, and we're usually the ones who provide evaluation services to determine if a child meets one of the categories laid out in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The shortage means that we are lagging on evaluation timelines, that there's not enough of us to provide evaluations to kids, and sometimes schools don't even have a school psychologist to provide the actual high-quality data needed to make these decisions. The great thing is we had grants to address these problems in two ways. One, to get more students in the training pipeline. The second set of grants helped schools hire and retain school psychologists to do this exact job. So it was a two-front attack to solve this problem. In April, those grants were cut. They were non-continued. Students went without getting pay when they had already accepted at a university, and schools who thought they were going to get more school psychologists didn't get the opportunity. Now, this action has been ruled illegal and should be reversed, but the Trump administration is going to appeal. And part of it is the new grants that have been put in their place only have a fraction of the impact of the old grant. Also, the damage has been done. The students had to drop out or go on leave, and the school psychologists didn't get hired at those districts. But the second thing the Trump administration done is got the Office of Civil Rights within the Department of Education. They're the ones who, if there's a case against a school related to discrimination about a disability, they're the ones who would help resolve it. Now, there are steps between, but they're the ones who have the ultimate say on these cases and where these cases might get to if the state level Office of Special Education wasn't able to resolve the problem. And this could be a lot of things. It could be the school denying an evaluation in the first place when a parent requests it. It could be a school, even though the data says the student could qualify for an individualized education program, saying that they don't. Or the student has an IEP and they decide to not fully provide services laid out in the IEP to the student. However, with the Office of Civil Rights gutted within the Department of Education, these cases are halted. They're on a standstill. There's a backlog, and they can't get through them all. And a student with a disability can't wait for years for a case to go through at the federal level for them to get the services that they need. That damage will already be done if a case takes 1, 2, or 3 years. Now, if you look at the data, 17% of students in the United States have an identified disability. Most of them are for a specific learning disability. But for any disability category, the longer and longer they go without specialized services, the worse the outcomes for those kids. They need those services to help them learn and succeed, and if you have to wait years to get that resolved, that's time you just can't get back. And there's a third thing coming down the pipeline. There's been talk of moving this Office of Special Education and Rehabilitation to Health and Human Services. Like I said, majority of kids have a specific learning disability. HHS has no idea how to provide services and what services are appropriate to those kids. So we may even see more problems arising if this happens. And of course, there's been no talk of hiring additional staff to meet the need of moving an entire office over an office that's already seeing cuts. So we'll continue to see those problems. Additionally, this is not just the Trump administration, but every single administration since we started doing special education. Special education has never been fully funded. We are at 14% when we should be at 40% funding from the federal government. So tell your members in Congress to have a backbone, to have a spine, and tell Trump to take his hands off the Department of Education and stop hurting kids.